Hello and welcome everyone to Khan Klinics, your place for healthcare information and source, powered by American Muslim Today. We're here for another episode. I think it's episode 15. And we're going to be this week talking about antibiotics, but more so about antibiotics and how we abuse antibiotics. So it's antibiotics, abuse, resistance. And we got a very good guest speaker today for that, who's going to be introduced in a few minutes. Also in the show, we have Maya. Hi, Maya. Can you hear us? Maya and Rida
Yes, I can
both.
hear you. Hello.
Hi, Maya. Hi, Rida. And with them, today's our guest cams are Dr. Sophia and Dr. Shiza. Can you guys hear us as well? So
Yes,
she,
sir.
very
We
good.
can hear
Shiza,
you.
welcome, and Dr. Sophia, can you hear us? How about now?
Yes, sir. We can hear you.
Okay, wonderful. I
Yes,
want to
sir.
just see Sophia. We can hear Sophia as well.
Yes, sir. I can hear you.
Okay, fantastic. So we got all of the team ready, and we've got a little bit of like a program lined up for you guys. But before that, Rida and Maya has got some breaking news for you guys. Something that has probably happened in the last week or so, or let's say this week. And as you guys know, there has been a lot of competition about AI. First, there was Microsoft did their big gig, and they launched their AI bit, and that has already had significant impact everywhere. Even when I go to the grocery now, people talk about AI. Forget about cars, aeroplanes, computers, phones having AI. And then after that, Google was very worried because they thought that they were behind the race, and they launched their AI system. But now, Maya and Rida have got some information about Apple doing their stuff. So go on, Maya, tell us what's going on.
Right. Yeah. So thanks for having me. This is relevant because Monday, Apple is going to have their yearly worldwide developers conference where they're going to announce everything that they're going to be doing in the next year or so. Like bringing in their own special version of artificial intelligence, which they're coining the AI and taking it as Apple Intelligence. They've partnered with OpenAI they're going to update like the Siri so that she can do more things while you're using apps and things like that. And then possibly a custom emoji generator. You can um, customize your home screen a little bit more, app updates. So, just little things that they do, but they are calling it the M4 chips that they're going to have in Macs soon, um, which is it's looking like this technology is not going to be compatible with their older models of devices. Even the iPhone 15 won't really be compatible anymore. So
Really,
yeah,
even iPhone 15 is not good enough with their Apple. That's the
yeah, exactly.
whoa.
So they're gonna keep making you get the news phone.
Right. And obviously they want to sell more. But we're gonna have to see. So you got something to show us, like a little presentation or something?
Yes, I think we can move to the next few slides for the video that Jeremy's gonna show.
I mean, it looks like there is gonna be an old Apple. which and a new integrated AI Apple coming around. So Apple want to do it on your phone, which is always very and phone and some of your laptops and stuff, which is always very fancy dancy. It's always very nice having it on that, right? Rida,
Mm.
what do you think?
So I'm an Android person.
All right.
iPhone doesn't do it for me.
All right. Well, that's good. I'm glad you mentioned that. Android, that means the next gig is going to come from Sony, right? I forgot to mention we have also CU and Jeremy in the studios, and then the social media team also is here, eyeballing with us, all the team there in the background, looking at this. Okay, fantastic stuff. So we're excited to say the least. I'm sure we're going to be hearing. This is just the beginning, and there's going to be more. But let me go. Let me move ahead and introduce our guest today. And today we have Aakif Salim. He is currently working as a pharmacist in a remote as a virtual pharmacist assistant. He's got his MPhil pharmaceutical from Gomal University, where he also did his PharmD in 2018, 2023. Um, Akif Bhai, welcome, and thank you for preparing the slideshows and presentation today.
Hello, sir. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Good afternoon. I hope you all are good
We're
and
doing
doing
very
well.
good. We're doing very good.
Okay.
So you're a
So,
pharmacist. So tell me, last
yep.
week we had an interesting event. It happened to be someone's B day, and the staff today gave me a gift. And guess what it is? Can you see this? No? It's too far away. How
Sir,
about this?
I, it's Xanax something, 2
Right.
mg.
Sustained release Xanax, 2 milligrams. And they said, oh, it's your
Yes,
coffee. So drink it, it's okay. So it's okay to drink it, right? With a bit of Xanax in it, right, Mr. Keith?
sir. That depends on the material in the container.
So that's good. It depends on the
Yes,
material in the container as well.
yes, sir.
But you gotta say for Dr. Khan, yeah, Khan is okay. Enjoy, drink a little bit, enjoy your show. If you sleep, you got the team to look after the Xanax, and if I say something naughty, you'll understand. It's only the effect of the medication, right? I'm gonna give a little bit to CU because she's anxious. I'm gonna give a little bit to Jeremy. He's anxious. So why don't we all have a little bit of this? Go on, tell us about your presentation today, my friend. Uh, let's start your
Okay.
presentation. See, you're going to be talking about antibiotics today. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
More so antibiotic resistant. Yes, yes, team. It
Mm-hmm.
is. I got a beautiful Xanax gift today. Not to know, and then I have a pharmacist who's gonna protect me. That's the other beautiful thing. So Xanax gift in to me. It's very nice. Okay, I'm gonna go to bed.
Okay.
Let's listen to your presentation meanwhile.
So today we will talking about antibiotics resistance, its effects, and the preventive measures that we can take to tackle this problem. So coming to the antibiotics, they are the medications, they are the medicines that are used to treat and prevent infectious diseases in human, animals, and plants as well. So they were discovered last in the last century, in the mid of the last century, and they proved to be like wonder drugs because in the past, like small infections were going to kill the humans, and they were like very fatal in that time. But as with the arrival of antibiotics, they changed the whole scenario. They became the saviors.
Beautiful.
So
The
that's why
one
they are.
medication, the one medication that has changed the landscape of human history is development of the antibiotics. And see you, Jeremy and Rida social media team want to put a video on before you go further. They want to show
Yes.
what they have got, and then we'll take it right from here, where you're going to talk about what is antibiotics. It treats infection, but what we are worried about is why are the bugs becoming smarter? That's the question.
Yes.
Not that they're antibiotics. Antibiotics are a great thing to have, but what has been the impact, and why are bacteria or viruses in some cases, but today more so, why how they become smarter, which means now it's hard to kill them, and that's the educational take home point.
Yes.
It becomes harder and harder to kill. So if I had an infection 20, 30 years ago or 50 years ago, the antibiotics worked faster. Since then, the antibiotics, been taking so many antibiotics. Is that what it is? Is it the dose? We're giving too much dose. Are we giving it too much? So you're going to talk about it. But let's just play first the video that Rida and her team have prepared.
How do antibiotics work? Pathogenic bacteria in the body cause infections, which can be treated by antibiotics. Antibiotics can be bacteriostatic or bactericidal. Bacteriostatic antibiotics slow the growth of bacteria by interfering with the processes the bacteria need to multiply. These processes include DNA replication, metabolism, e.g. enzyme activity, protein production, bactericidal antibiotics kill the bacteria, for example by preventing the bacteria from making a cell wall. Penicillins are bactericidal. Penicillins include penicillin 5 for sore throats, amoxicillin for chest infections, and fluxloxacillin for skin infections. Antibiotics can be so-called broad spectrum, affecting many different bacteria in your body, including useful bacteria in your gut. Some antibiotics are more narrow spectrum, only affecting one or two types of bacteria. It is better to use narrow spectrum antibiotics where possible. Most antibiotics have no effect on your immune system. Antibiotics do not work on viruses because viruses have a different structure to bacteria. Viruses incorporate themselves into a host cell in your body in order to multiply. Bacteriostatic antibiotics that affect bacterial DNA, metabolism, or protein production do not attack body cells and therefore do not slow the growth of viruses. Viruses do not have a cell wall, and therefore bactericidal antibiotics that act on cell walls cannot kill viruses.
So that's excellent. I think it gives us a little bit of an idea of what we want to talk about today. And just getting into it, that there is a cidal antibiotic and there is a static antibiotic. So cidal kills, static makes it, growth decreases the growth. So before we start off, I want to ask one little question, and that is, in the audience, is there anyone who has not had antibiotic to date? Let me say you all are over 20, some more, some less, and that in the 20 years, is there anyone out there who has not had an antibiotic once? And tell me, meanwhile, Maya, Rida, have you had antibiotics? Maya, you?
I'm trying to think. Maybe at least one time. I don't really remember what I got them for.
Okay.
Like, do they give them whenever you get your wisdom teeth out?
You have to get antibiotics sometimes. A lot of times.
Okay, yeah.
All right, I see
Then yes,
someone
I've had
saying
them.
that I have not had antibiotics. Ooh, two. Oh, three. Three girls. Oh my God. Oh, I'm surprised. You have to check now. You guys are saying no, 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 and there are quite a few of them. But did you check with your parents? You have to ask your mom, dad. When I was little, because I know when a baby is born, people come here and fight for antibiotics. They want to get them, and I now see, and I'm pleasantly surprised that people are saying, because there is a good chunk saying I have never had antibiotics, and that's very good. But you got to double check that and make sure you ask your parents, did you give me an antibiotic when I was little? Because anytime you get an antibiotics, there is a counter effect in the body. All right, there is an effect in the body, and the more you take them, the gut and the flora get affected. But that's what Akif Bhai is going to talk about. So, okay, well, that's very good. That you now let me ask another question then. If you ever had infection and that it was decided that, oh, you decided that I'm not going to get antibiotics, and you had to suffer for at least 5 days of infection, 5 days of fighting, 5 days of fighting infection. That's my question. And my follow-up question is, amongst the group, is there people who have not had vaccination? Like, there's a flu vaccine. There is okay, let me start off by asking now. So I got a good feel that a good 30% of people have not had antibiotics. How about the COVID vaccine? How many have not had a COVID vaccine? Let's see. In the COVID. Okay, I see now some saying what about the front team? I don't see any of the front team commenting. I want you all to at least say, have you been vaccinated or not? Polio is mandatory. Okay, that's a good thing, by the way. So what about first? Okay. So far I've got most being vaccinated. By the way, there is NBA finals going on, and in the NBA finals there is two teams playing. One is the Dallas, woo, Sporting Dallas, woo, Dallas, hurrah, the Dallas Mavericks. They're playing. They're in the finals. They lost the first match. It's a best of 7 match. Okay, so they lost the first, and they are playing the Celtic team. Okay, right, right.
Boston
Yeah,
Celtics.
the Boston Celtics, because Celtic, Boston. So they're playing them. They're very good too. Amongst them, there is a player, and he was in the news. All right, and his name is Kyrie Irving. He's very, very good player, and happens to be probably the only player who was fasting. Obviously, yes, he was fasting. He refused to get vaccinated. It created a lot of controversy in the NBA, and especially the times when the games were being played behind the doors. So let me come back. I've got only one person saying that I have not been vaccinated. Mr. H has said. And other than that, oh, two. Oh, not had two of them now. Miss I.A. said no, and Mr. H.A. said no. Two people. Other than those two people. No, I'm talking about COVID first. Has everyone been vaccinated? Is there any besides two? IA and HA. Two of them didn't get vaccinated, right? So two. But then most of you, if I'd say 90% of you have got. Let me ask another question. No, see you. Did you get vaccinated?
Of course.
Okay, what about Sophia and we got Sophia and Shiza? Did you get vaccinated?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, has anyone got a side effect of the vaccination so far? I know there's a lot of people were trying to scare you. In fact, we
Yes,
had
sir. I did get from
nurses.
the COVID vaccine that we
Oh,
got.
I now see two other girls who have not been vaccinated as well. Mm. Yes, I see two other girls. Go, two or three girls. Ooh, four total girls. So my ratio is going down now. It was, I thought, over 90%, but now it's going in the 80s. And I'm sure some of them are probably saying, oh, we don't want to disclose it. But know that in the US, we had a good population of nurses who were very worried about the vaccination. In fact, some of them lost their job. And they said, we're not going to get vaccinated because we are worried about the drug is not adequately tested enough. Well, we know what has happened. It's had a fantastic effect. It's actually a life, a revolutionary sort of medication. It was, and it's changed the face of the history. Why? Because it saved billions of people, not millions, billions of people. It really has. But what we are looking for, and I know most of you are saying, um, most of you are saying no, we're not been, we haven't had any side effects, and that's what I'm getting to. If you've seen some there is one comment about someone got a fever and a body ache from the vaccine. But what about the latest vaccine? Has anyone been having side effects from the latest vaccine? Because now you just need one, right? Because in the past you needed two, and sort of different regimes, but now you just need one. So some of you have had body aches, and I remember quite a few. But has anyone had any serious side effects? Yes, there's another comment, right? Not only nurses, but yes, Djokovic also is not vaccinated. Kyrie is not vaccinated. They were worried. I can understand some of the women getting worried because they're worried about a fetus. It can have effect. We want to have children, and that's what their rationale was. Can it affect the ovaries and the stuff? But so some of the men didn't take it, and athletes especially. So very interesting. Just keep that in mind while we're discussing this, because if I if I sort of like filter through and do a cross examination right now, most of you um, are vaccinated, but I'm going putting the ratio in 80% now, because I think a good 15% of you still not vaccinated. And the ones who vaccinated, one or two of you are saying, oh, they had body aches and stuff, but no life-threatening problem, because antibiotics can have problems, right? That's true, right? That can have. As a pharmacist, what's your view? What's the pharmacy's world's view? Forget about our personal views about it, because we're not sharing those. But the pharmacy world obviously was advocating for using the COVID and vaccination and stuff. And there are still people out there who are not been vaccinated. Now I think they can safely say we don't need it because it's not out there. But at that time, they navigated, and they didn't get the vaccine. So it's sort of like, in a way, brave of them not to get it. But if you had seen what I had seen in the hospitals, and how many, I told you guys last week that there were so many bodies outside that, first of all, the hospital morgue got filled up. No one would take them. We had to put the bodies outside in a mobile truck. Then that got filled up, and then that was there for a month, and then we couldn't shift any more bodies anywhere. Just start putting them somewhere in a room, and then obviously at some stage the vaccine came, and it saved. It was really light at the end of the tunnel, where it was made a sort of like mind-boggling change. Okay, Akif bhai, tell us then, now that we know that, if let's say there is we'll discuss antibiotics, and then we'll go over if there's another epidemic or a pandemic. Someone pointed out last time. So walk us through, Akif bhai, what you got, please.
So after antibiotics, let's discuss the antibiotic resistance. So antibiotic resistance means when the antibiotics no longer can produce their effect, either the bactericidal or bacteriostatic effect. So, we can say that bacteria no longer respond to the antibiotics. They are no more prone to the antibiotics attack. So, what happens that antibiotics become ineffective and infections become difficult or impossible to treat. So, thereby increasing the risk of disease spread, severe illness, disability, and death. Now we have some certain bacteria that are resistant to multiple drugs. They are called multi-drug resistant strains, or they are also called superbugs in slang language. So, coming to the main point, that how bacteria develop resistance. Uh, it is that resistant genes, sometime in a whole population of a bacteria, there might be some bacteria that possess few resistant genes, that possess those genes that enable the bacteria to fight the antibiotics. So when we apply antibiotics to these population of bacteria, what happens that the susceptible ones are killed by the antibiotics and the resistant ones are survive. So after their survival, they keep on growing their population, and hence, like in this way, they they become more and more in number. If you can see here in on the slides, so like the red ones are the resistant strains, and the other ones are the susceptible. So when antibiotics are applied, the susceptible ones are killed, and then in the third stage, they keep on increasing their population, increasing their colony, and in this way they become like a whole bunch of colony of resistant strains. This is called the natural resistance, that when the resistant genes are naturally present in the bacteria. After the natural resistance, we have the another type of resistance, which is the acquired resistance. In the acquired resistance occur due to alteration in genome of a bacteria during replication, or we can call it mutation, that results in certain traits that gives the bacterium ability to resist antibiotics. Now, just remind yourself the Darwin's theory of survival of the fittest. What happens, according to Darwin, that only those species survive who are the fittest, like, or we can say who make themselves more and more adaptive to the surrounding environment. So when bacteria are exposed to the antibiotics, what happens that they make themselves, they adapt themselves in such a way that they can fight off the antibiotics, and this in this way, like, the mutation occurs, and certain genes are produced, certain genes are made that can fight the antibiotics. So in the when these genes are produced, they are passed on successively to their offsprings, to their daughter cells during the reproduction process. This is called the vertical gene transfer. That the genes, the resistant genes, are now passed on to the successive generations of the bacteria. And now long-term use of antibiotics in such environment, bacteria keep on changing dramatically with more resistant microorganisms in proportion. So this is called the selection pressure, when bacteria change itself in the presence of antibiotics.
Very good. I think that's very good. Akif bhai. So,
Okay.
okay, so Okay, so let's keep going. So you can develop antibiotic resistance, and you can develop antibiotic resistance. Obviously, you need to use the antibiotic, then you will get antibiotic resistance. And part of me was asking, so part of the audience that, okay, you guys don't have not used antibiotics, and you would fight because your immunity is good. But what is if your kid needs antibiotics? What would you give antibiotics at that time? And really, I think most of them have said, well, we only want to give antibiotics when it's needed. And I think that should be the general theme. You shouldn't give antibiotics just for the sake of it, because there is a good chance you're gonna develop antibiotic resistance. And now you've said the gene can be transferred from antibiotic to antibiotic, or the bacteria to bacteria more so, and that can affect you. So there is a gene component to this as well. Can I ask a quick question? This is just a general knowledge question for me. I know some of you are outside. In here in the US, we always have antibiotics being prescribed by a primary care. And a lot of times he doesn't know, he may know what he's given in the past, but if you go to a new person, they may not know, all right, that where is the antibiotics coming from. Is antibiotics on prescription everywhere else? And that's my question. Can you get just Sophia, can you get antibiotics over the counter? Shazam?
Yes, yes, sir. We
Oh,
can.
darn it. That's worrisome then. Then it becomes an issue because then yeah. Even
Yes,
though the
that is why in
pharmacist may
Pakistan the
control it.
antibiotic resistance is like very high.
Sorry, so actually it is illegal to dispense antibiotics as over the counter or without a prescription.
Okay.
And even the regulatory authorities have made it mandatory to keep a register for antibiotics, and such a register for the narcotics and other things, but like they don't practice it.
But that happens also in other countries. UAE is another example. So Saudi, you can get it over the counter. I'm not sure. I can't remember Turkey. Can you get it over the counter? But in England, Germany, you cannot. In Canada, you cannot. But you can if you go just south, Mexico, you can get over the counter medications. You can get they can be shipped, they can be mailed, and I'm sure it's the same case in India. You can get them over the counters. There's no, and that is where there is part of the problem is. Um, I'll later on tell another interesting story that we once I was working, I think in England or somewhere, and there was a case, and all the doctors had put their heads together because they were trying to fight an infection, and the woman was actually from India, and she told she when they started going through her antibiotics because the infection wouldn't eradicate, and she had taken every antibiotic you can name it. Every antibiotic she had tried it at one stage. So treating that infection became impossible. Um, so j- just be mindful. It's not a bad idea if you take some antibiotics, write it somewhere that I took this and I was this. And and especially in your health care diary, notebook, Apple, whatever you use. It's a smart thing. Now, you may not want to think it's important for you, but make sure for your loved ones, little kids, or anything, it is important what antibiotic you take and what dose you take. Because when you come uh, in the West, there is a way of tracking which antibiotics you've taken in the past through your pharmacists, and so you can track it a little bit. But if you come from outside any of those countries, like I'm just saying, Saudi, UAE, there is no way you can track that, and it becomes a very big issue. It's the same like anytime in your life, if you get a CT scan, keep a copy of it. Get a disc, keep a copy of your CT. It's always handy to have your base CT or your base full blood test results, or with you on you, or somewhere where it's accessible on your phone and stuff, because you don't know where you're going to need it. I'll give you another example. I know a couple who actually traveled from abroad, came to the US, and the woman was involved in an accident, and she had to go to the nearest hospital. And and she was pregnant, and she didn't have any records. And she had an underlying, because at that time she's unconscious, so she had an underlying heart condition. So you can very easily lose the baby just because the staff members were not aware of what had happened. So you take someone to anesthesia who's got a cardiac issue, it's a nightmare. It's not a nightmare. You're going to lose the baby. You could lose the patient too. Sometimes. And sometimes the person is not able to give their history. So smart idea, having access to your medical record at least, all right? And if you don't want to do it for yourself, make sure you do it for your kids. And that's where all of Aakif's training and all of these points that are being brought forward to you guys. Yes, it's okay getting antibiotics. And I see someone mentioned that, I have resistance to amoxicillin. It's very common to have resistance to penicillins or its derivatives. And that's how, once you start having resistance, it starts transmitting these genes and codes, DNAs that Aakif is talking about. You will develop resistance to ceftinar next, cephalosporins, and another group. And then you don't want to get into a state where you are MDR, multi-drug resistant, or you got a super bug now. A bug that's is gonna laugh at all the light antibiotics. So very interesting, very good, and that's the whole point about this. I think giving the message out that what you got to do and how you got to prevent this, all right? And a lot of these talks are, we want you to become educated. I think that's important, but also is passing on this information to your next loved one or another family member, or tell them, look, I've learned this and I've learned this. So I know Aakif's got a lot, so we're going to probably try to go through. We got another video to present, Aakif bhai. So let's present the next, Rida's team is going to present another one, and then we'll go on to discuss a little bit more about the antibiotics.
You've almost certainly taken them in the past. But how do antibiotics actually work? Antibiotics are natural compounds produced by certain bacteria and fungi. Scientists think they may use antibiotics as weapons against other microbes, or as chemical signals. We have harnessed the power of antibiotics as drugs to fight bacterial infections. Antibiotics target parts of bacterial cells that aren't found in human cells, but they don't work against viruses like colds and flu. Different kinds of antibiotics work in different ways. Many target the bacterium's cell wall, a tough outer coating that gives it strength and support. Without a cell wall, the bacteria burst open and die. Other antibiotics don't kill the bacteria directly, but stop them from reproducing, which slows down their growth. But there's a problem. Some bacteria are becoming resistant to antibiotics, meaning our drugs are no longer effective against them. This is very bad news. A world without antibiotics would be like going back to the Dark Ages. Simple operations or mild infections could kill. Today, 700,000 people around the world die every year because they become infected with resistant bacteria. By 2050, this figure could rise to 10 million, costing the global economy $100 trillion. A big part of the problem is the overuse of antibiotics. Antibiotics don't last forever, and bacteria do eventually develop resistance to our drugs. But by overusing antibiotics and overexposing bacteria to them, we've greatly accelerated this process. For example, over time, bacteria can evolve ways to pump antibiotics out of the cell, like bailing water from a sinking ship. Or they can produce chemicals that target and neutralize antibiotic molecules. To make things worse, bacteria can also transfer genes for resistance between each other, and even to other species. This means that once resistance develops, it can spread very quickly. If you are infected by resistant bacteria, the only option is to give you different antibiotics in the hope that they will treat the infection. But some bacteria, like MRSA, are known as superbugs because they're resistant to multiple types of antibiotics. These bacteria are particularly dangerous because they're so difficult to treat, if they can be treated at all. But there are things we can do to slow down the emergence of resistance. We shouldn't demand antibiotics from doctors for viral infections like flu, because they won't work. We should only prescribe antibiotics when necessary. Sometimes it can be better to let the body fight off an infection on its own. And if you are prescribed antibiotics, you should finish the course even if you start feeling better. This is to make sure the treatment kills all the bacteria and doesn't leave any behind that could turn resistant. Worldwide, we need to reduce the amount of unnecessary antibiotics used in healthcare and farming. We also need to fund research to develop new drugs and improve our existing ones. Antibiotic resistance could develop into a global disaster, but if we act now, we can all make a difference and continue to use antibiotics as the life-saving drugs they are.
Okay, so that's good. I think let's have Aakif Bhai, you pick up a little bit and tell us a little bit more about how and what precautions we can take to after antibiotic or resistance. How can we? Let's go to the next sort of slide so we can Aakif Bhai can tell us about how we can prevent antibiotic resistance. Aakif Bhai,
Yes, sir.
so let's talk us about that. Should we go a little bit more? Yeah. So let's talk about this and then Aakif Bhai can talk about the next one, please.
So, now talking about the factors leading to the antibiotic resistance, of course, these are the irrational use of antibiotics, especially for the viral infections, as we see in the video. That here it is very common that we take antibiotics for common flu and flu-like symptoms, which are mainly because of the viral infections. But we like take antibiotics for such infections. Then we have overuse of antibiotics in livestock, incomplete treatment regimens, like not showing compliance to a treatment regimen. For example, if we are prescribed with 5 tablets, so when we take 3 tablets, our symptoms are a little bit relieved, so we discontinue the therapy. That is also causing antibiotic resistance. Then we have poor sanitation and inadequate sterility measures in healthcare facilities, homes, and farms that causes infections, and also they are the carrier of antibiotic resistant bacteria. Then we have poor access to quality and affordable vaccines, diagnostics, and medicines. Like in some part of the world, they have no access to the quality antibiotics. They have no diagnostics procedures and medications. That's why they can also cause the antibiotic resistance. And we have no like lack of awareness and knowledge, poor surveillance and regulation for the antibiotic use.
Can I ask what I have a question? If you talk about livestock and you mention that if we give antibiotics to, let's say, animals, and we eat the meat of those antibiotics, whether they are on antibiotics, whether they have been steroids, whether they have been poorly fed with um, stuff, what do we think is the effect gonna be? And this first is a question to Maya and Rida, and then I'll ask obviously the docs. What do you think, Maya?
I'm sorry, can you say that again? The first part?
Rida, did you get the question? Did you get that part? Rida, are you there? So Rida is probably not. Is it on still or off? It's on. Maya, can you hear us? Maya, can you hear us? I don't think they can hear us. We got disconnected. Oh, they can still hear us. So I'm gonna is Aakif, can Aakif hear us? I think he's got disconnected. Aakif bhai, can you hear us? Okay, well, I think they can hear me, but they can't see the visual part of things. So I think just keep in mind, and I know we've got a very brilliant festive coming, right? There is Eid time coming. Eid, you know what Maya Eid is all about? Do you know? Do you know what Eid is? No? Do you know what Eid is Maya?
You want to come in there? I'll come in there.
Oh yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you, Maya.
Okay. Okay.
So do you know what Eid is?
Yes, I think the next one is the sacrifice,
Good girl.
Ibrahim.
Yes, it
Yeah.
is. Yeah, so it's a sacrifice Eid to you. And what we do is we sacrifice an animal. And we sacrifice, it could be you can sacrifice a
Yes, I
lamb,
think the
you can
next one
sacrifice a goat,
is the.
you can sacrifice anything, and any animal. Even a chicken is allowed, by the way. You can sacrifice, right? But it's better that you sacrifice some. And a lot of beef, a lot of food is available. So the next meeting will be probably is going to be near that, where there's going to be food and a lot of meat available. But Akif Bhai is just saying, how do you know it's good meat? That's the question. How do you know that it is good meat to eat? How are you gonna check? Has anyone got any idea? Maya Rida is off, so I can't hear her. But what about
Uh,
Sophia? Can we hear
it
Sophia?
doesn't
Or
smell.
say again?
It doesn't smell. It doesn't taste rotten or bad. Something.
Right.
I think that way you could just.
So you only will know how you will only know after you have sacrificed the meat that you think it. Yeah.
Or we'll know a day after, I think, when we're sick and our head is in the toilet.
Oh, so that's a good point. You'll know if your tummy doesn't agree with it, then it's not. But is there any way we can know about the meat quality of meat and stuff before? You know, here they check the meat in the U.S. generally. Yeah,
Yeah,
they
that's what I
check.
was thinking too, like the inspection of the animal before, like even before it gets killed, what it eats, where it lives.
Yeah, it's not animals got actually some in some farms, they even have a stamp on it, and they're certified, and that those are the ones that are allowed. And if it's a disease, sometimes we hear horror stories in different part of the countries, in different worlds and stuff. What is going on? But I'm seeing here a lot of people talking about, oh, there's gonna be mutton, there's gonna be beef, and the food is very good. Some are saying it's gonna be pink. I like this one. It's a happy cow. If it's a smiling one, then it's a good one, right? And if it's depressed and running away from someone, doesn't want to be that's not good, right? That's not a good one. But the color
I
and
have
aroma,
heard that
yeah. But
where
the
if an animal is depressed, the meat isn't that good.
right. Oh, well, that's a point. I know it. If the animal, what about he or she is good, healthy, but the meat isn't. The meat isn't. So you don't. The point being, Sophia, what do you think? And we have yeah, Sophia and Shiza. How do you know which meat is good or not? Wait a second, Sophia, we can't hear you. One sec. I'd love to hear what Sophia and Shiza have to say. Give us. Sophia, tell us now.
So I was saying that it's very hard to tell if you're like getting the animal the last day. And the whole point of this Eid that we are celebrating is to sacrifice an animal that is close to your heart and
Good
that
go.
you are like feeding and bringing them
Smart
up.
answer. Yes. Very,
So
very
that
smart.
is why, like, if you're bringing up the animal, you know that you're like feeding them well and you're not giving them any
Oh,
antibiotics
what
or
a
stuff
great
like that.
answer. What a great, thoughtful answer. That's the whole hikmah behind it. That, part of it is knowing what and some of the prophets, they say they used to be shepherds and stuff. Don't you think they knew the animals themselves? How and Rida brought up a good point. It may be depressed, but Rida is not going to know when she's eating the meat that this is depressed animal meat from a depressed one, right? Because she's gonna eat it. But what a good point you bring. If it's less than a day, you're not gonna know. But it's why you do your stuff early, you establish a little bond, and that bond is so critical. Very nice. I love that answer. Sheza, what do you think? Sometimes,
So
yeah. Go on.
if it's wet, it doesn't smell bad.
Yeah,
That's how we know that it's good to go
yeah. Before the slaughter or afterwards?
after.
After the slaughter. Okay. Yeah, I must say there are some people who are very good at recognizing the quality of meat. Okay, there's one of the uncles I know. He's very smart. Every time he would see a meat, he would go to a shop. He would say, "Don't eat that one. Take this one." Or, yeah, it's also an art. It's because they've. But he himself he's a hunter, so he's very very. By the way, I don't know how much. Do you do hunting? I don't know. I guess you guys are not very familiar with, or is there hunting back home? There must be in some parts, but Maya, Texas is big, right? Hunting
Oh yeah.
is very big. Is very very big here. In fact, there are farms out here, and the cowboys love to go out, and they would go out in groups. Jeremy, have you ever tried that? Going out for hunting here? No? Yeah, it's very uh, well. Generally, for me, it's time consuming, so I can't. But there's a group of friends who go out regularly, and they would bring back meat, and they love their hunting. It's like a big ordeal. It's an all day. They would eat. They would obviously hunt, eat the fresh meat, take their kids, have barbecue, and it's hot now, but just the weather when it's right, they love and go and do, and they're on the bikes or cars, and they got the guns. That's the guns, Texas, by the way. Yeah, the lovely state of guns, uh, right?
Yeah, you don't need a license to carry.
We got license to carry. Yes,
You
absolutely.
don't need one though.
Pardon?
You don't need one in Texas to carry a gun. You don't need a license.
You need a license if you're gonna take it. You don't need it inside your
But you need a
house.
hunting license.
You need to have a license if you're
But
gonna
that's
hunt.
different than a gun license.
No, the gun license, you need actually, if a gun is concealed, you don't need,
Right, yeah.
if you're gonna show it or you have it on you, you have to have a license. If it's in a house, you don't need it. If you're protecting your house, so you don't need it.
I think Greg Abbott said you don't need one
At all?
at all.
Really?
Yeah, that's the problem.
Oh, really? Google
Yeah.
that for me for a second, because why did we
Alright.
go through a course of guns and practice and get a license and everything? So I thought
For the hunting.
there must be some do's and don't, and when you can, not specifically hunting, when you can carry a gun and when you can't. When you can carry a gun and when you can't carry it. So have a look at that. And I don't know how much they know, but they love they love their farms, they love their animals, they love their meat and stuff. And the barbecue is very big. So, and it's a festive as well. Yeah, there's this thing. That's why it's Texas, wild Texas. That's more west. That's more west,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
There's more
Yeah,
west.
technically we're not the wild west, but we are wild.
Yeah, Dallas is wild. There's always something going on. Houston, Dallas is always something going on. All right. So tell us that information in a minute, and then we'll let Akif finish his presentation because he's still got some antibiotics to tell us. Go on, Akif, bhai, tell us what else.
You're not listening? Now we will ask you. And you say,
Okay, okay, go on, Akif, bhai.
Uh, okay, so that's how the resistant bacteria in the ecosystem they spread. We can get them from the meat we eat, and we can get from the like the plants, from the soil, from everywhere, and that's how they spread and circulate in the
Last
uh,
two.
ecosystem,
Okay,
as you can see in the slide. And
okay,
then we have the like the global impacts, the data that I collected. Overall, what happened at the antibiotic resistance, they can cause high fertility rate, they can elevate the healthcare costs, they can prolong the duration of therapy, and they can also result in the livestock losses. Some facts and figures in this regard, that 4.95 million estimated deaths they were associated with the bacterial antibiotic resistance in 2019, while 1.27 million deaths they were directly caused by bacterial antibiotic resistance. Likewise, they also affect the economy.
mm-hmm.
So the World Bank estimates that AMR antimicrobial resistance could result in $1 trillion additional healthcare costs by 2050, and so on. So the preventive measures that we can take in this regard are the we can spread awareness and understanding of antibiotics resistance and highlighting factors that leads to resistance, like through communication, through education, and through training. We can strengthen the knowledge through surveillance and research, like we can spread the information on the incidence, prevalence, and elucidation of the resistance mechanism. We can reduce the incidence of infection through effective sanitation, hygiene, and infection prevention measures. They are also going to help us in the like preventing antibiotic resistance. Immunization drives, vaccination where needed, optimize and ensure rational use of antibiotics in human and animals, and then the strict regulations on the antibiotic use ensure accessibility to quality and effective antibiotics where needed, and then the new drug discovery. So globally, the World Antimicrobial Awareness Week is like observed, and that is from 18 November to 24 November each year. And the last slide, it's about the prevention of antibiotic resistance, is the role of genome sequencing. So you all will be more familiar with this technology, that in the genome sequencing we like study the genome of any cell. So, in the aspect context of antibiotic resistance, we can identify the resistant strains. We can identify the resistant genes of a resistant bacteria. We can study them. We can study the like the sequence of the genes, and thereby they can help us in the prevention of antibiotic resistance. And like in 2018, a multi-drug resistant Salmonella Newport was identified in the US. So the like the illnesses were linked to beef consumed in the United States. So actually, this bacteria was like present in the beef that was consumed there, and like this was identified by using the genome sequencing. So we can use this technology to prevent the antibiotic resistance. So if
That,
any question,
do drop your questions here if you have anyone have it, guys. If there's any questions for Akif on the topic, please let us know. As Akif bhai, that was really brilliant. It was very, very good. Thank you for your effort. I think it, time flies by very quickly. We don't realize it, and it's almost an hour. So I do want them to, some of the audiences go, let them go. I know it's a Friday always, and Fridays are tougher. Um, and just a thank you note. It was quite nice. So Maya's got some back. Maya's waving. She's got some backup information. Go on, Maya. Tell us what you got from as far as.
Back to our guns.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so you don't, as of 2021, you don't need any license to carry a handgun.
Okay.
I can't find anything. All it says is a person that is legally allowed to own a firearm does not need a license to own one or to carry a firearm. You only need a hunting license. Doesn't say anything about guns. You just have to know the seasons, what to do with your game, what not to do, what not to hunt, things like that.
Wow, that's interesting. So you could buy a gun and no background check or anything.
Nope.
Wow. Woo. Woohoo. Okay.
Welcome to Texas.
That's interesting. But they love their hunting, and so do we. And we love the meat, and so do you. Anyways, I think we got a couple of little messages at the end. I think most of you have already liked it. I think we got about, I don't know why it just shows 7 likes, but obviously we got more because it's like going in the 30s. Like, so thank you very much for appreciating that. Just remember, see you here, Jeremy, Rida, and Maya, the rest of the team, Hafsa, Abdullah, all of these members at the back do quite an amazing job, and we sort of reap the fruits of it. But thank you very much. I want to make sure we thank them. Next week we have another guest who's gonna be talking about Doctor who is a plastic surgeon, and he's gonna be talking about cosmetic surgery, and that's gonna be our focus of attention next week. So if you have any questions about the topic, please email us. Our team will pick them up and will be happy to answer. I don't know, this should be a very interesting topic. If it's about cosmetic surgery, you want Botox surgery, you want eye surgery, you want facial surgery, there is reconstructive surgery. They talk about that. The big ones are the breast reconstruction and the tummy tucks. Those are very, very big. But if any of you had thought about it or have a question, you can just send us a question. You don't need to mention the name, and we would be happy to talk. So he's quite a busy practice, and he will be with us. So I want you all to become prepared and stuff. It's like an interesting topic for discussion for next week. We're excited about it because it's just before Eid, so that's also very good. And any other messages, Rida or Maya? Do you have any other players? Rida, do you have anything else that you want to part to the team for next week? Okay, they're not on right now. So okay. Other than that, I just want to say, okay, yeah, Rida is saying the Kardashian dynasty should benefit from it. That's a good. I think that's a lovely one. They would definitely, but I'm sure they got a lot of people on their books already doing that. But it's not just them. Any woman can, and it doesn't have to be, or any man. As a matter of fact, men are also big into this. So men and women, anyone. So have your questions. If you have them, please send them to us early. Like I said, don't forget to like and share. Thank you very much, everyone attending this. I hope you've learned a few little messages at the end of it. And I think Aakif has parted on a brilliant little message, how to prevent antibiotic resistance. You can follow the recommendations. We'll conclude with that, and we'll see you next week, hopefully. Have a blessed week. And oh, by the way, the other little point that I wanted to share was, if you have any videos that is your own and you want to share them, email them to americanmuslimtoday@gmail.com. Share your original videos. Our team has been doing a fabulous job on putting them on the videos. Some of the videos are getting over 100,000 views and stuff, which is also fantastic. Some go on to TikTok and different categories, and they're being broadcasted and being portrayed. And just being us, we should be able to have enough material or sufficient material that we can put out to the community and share. So if you have anything on an interesting video, don't forget to email it to us, and just can put it to attention video team, and we'll be happy to publish it and broadcast it where it's needed. And if you want to edit it, our team will be happy to do that too. We'll be happy to edit. Okay, with that we conclude. Stay blessed. Thank you very much, everyone, and we'll catch up next weekend. After that, we'll have a little probably break, but next weekend we'll see you at Friday, 3 p.m.